and I'll be going as the member of government today. Preferred pronouns he and him. And POIs you can verbalize, but please just do that once. And after that, just raise your hand. I'll take it if I have time. Uh, Starting my speech in the self count of three, two, one. So the PM has already raised our stance about the motion that yes, the world has a suffering. They've already agreed to that, and there is competition, there is challenges. But then all of these challenges inherently make you stronger in this world. But the DLO comes before me, acts like Eminem, and just speaks out. I don't know what kind of a story with lots of exceptional cases. They said that ask a farmer if he knows about coding job, because for all of that you need internet. Well, ask the farmer first of all that do you even need coding? Do you need a job? Do you need internet? Do you have you ever felt the need to have something where you have to sit for 7 hours in an office, or do you prefer this life which you are right now, that you're happy with your kid? They say that in many countries you have to fight for every resource, you have to fight for exams. Agreed, you have to. But then that's the hustle of life. That is our doing, because we are so bent upon on expanding our population and not caring about the limited resources we have, that this wasn't the case on the day one. But they forget this fact that this is us who have made this world, and we have the power to stop this. And then the LO comes, the LO speech, I forgot to mention him. He says this is an actor's motion, so there's no point in having an impact of about the baby's relations. But they forget the specific case that this is a baby. A baby has less intellect than his or her relations in this case. So you have to take into account the impact it will have on their relations, on their mom and dad, if they just choose to not exist at all. For the first time in my short debating career, if I have to say, that I've seen that opposition does not even have a world. Because in our world, while we propose that you have to live and you have to see this life, what's in their world? There's no world there, because you just see the life you're going to live and you say, oh no, I can't live this, I'm out. And then you just don't exist at all. For someone to even see what is good or bad, you have to first exist. But in the opposition's world, they never address the fact that you will not even be existing. So there's no point in mechanizing this competition and all. And who knows what happens? This motion is not about whether the world contains suffering, because it does. We've all seen it. The info slide explicitly tells us that we have witnessed poverty, sadness, evil, inequality. The opposition will try to anchor you in fear, but that is not a moral question. The moral question is, behind the wheel of ignorance, when you're granted full awareness, that the capacity to choose, what does it mean to make that choice? Because notice something subtle but fundamental. You're not an unconscious cluster of cells here. You're not a sperm, you're not an egg. You're not blindly thrown into this world. You're a conscious reasoning entity capable of moral evaluation, and that changes everything, my gentlemen. My extension is simple but devastating. The very act of being able to choose proves that existence has inherent value. Let me explain. In this scenario, according to the motion, you're granted awareness, rationality, the ability to view good and bad, the agency to decide. Now, what does the opposition ask you to do? They ask you to eliminate yourself, to erase the very consciousness that made that evaluation possible. That is internally inconsistent, because if your agency is valuable enough to deliberate existence, then existence is valuable enough to preserve that agency. Non-existence destroys the chooser, birth preserves the chooser. And a rational moral agent does not annihilate the faculty that allows morality to exist. Think about it very carefully before you choose your sides here, because this is a very sensitive topic behind this so-called fun motion. If you choose not to be born, you permanently eliminate your capacity to experience joy, your capacity to reduce suffering, your capacity to act morally, your capacity to change injustice. The LO said that many times when we are born, we see beauty as a far-fetched idea, but you have to be born to see that beauty is a far-fetched idea and to eventually fetch it. Because if you're not born in the first place, how will you even understand the concept of what beauty is? You eliminate the possibility of meaning altogether. Opposition may say, yes, but you may also eliminate suffering that you may undergo. That is an assumption in the rarest of the rarest case, because again, as I said, only 10% of the world's population globally lives in the extreme poverty zone, which the opposition clearly told you about, I don't know, like 7 or 8 times. And that rarity is more than even being born in the privileged. But suffering only has moral weight if consciousness has moral weight. If consciousness has no value, then suffering does not matter. And if suffering does not matter, then that entire case collapses. They cannot simultaneously claim that suffering is so morally significant that that you must avoid life, and then the conscious being who experience suffering is disposable. You cannot create consciousness as sacred when it suffers and worthless when it chooses. That is contradiction in its soul self. Now let's go deeper. I have 4 minutes. Yeah. Behind the wheel of ignorance, you do not know whether you will be rich or poor or privileged or oppressed, but you do know one thing: the world contains both harm and beauty, and importantly, it contains moral progress. You are more than the person you were born today. We as students joke around with each other that, oh my god, this situation made me die. But then the next day we are alive again because we know how to manage these situations. But just being a coward and dying from all this, it just doesn't make sense. The world you have not seen is the world you have seen is not static. It contains kindness, it contains reform, it contains people who alleviate suffering. If you choose non-existence, you remove one potential agent of progress. You guarantee that at least one consciousness that could have improved the world never gets the chance. Behind the wheel, you are rational. A rational agent does not choose
PY.
guaranteed nothingness or problematic meaning, because non-existence has zero upside. It has zero agency, zero growth, zero redemption, zero love, zero justice. It is a permanent cancellation of all possibility. And the opposition's framing is built entirely of fear of the worst case scenario, and that is not how rational risk assessment works. I'll take one POI.
Okay, so again, your whole case is based on assumption. Okay, this person will find a beauty in life. He will find an inherent meaning in life. When definitely there's harm existing in the world, and we prove why the harm of living is more than the harm of getting being brought up in this. We clearly prove that.
Yeah, you avoided the word kill. It is more inherently more easier to just live in this world than to kill yourself. And here is the asymmetry. If you're born and life contains suffering, then there is the possibility of joy. I did not guarantee you that once you're born, you will have eventually have beauty. But if you're not born, there is no possibility of anything. Birth preserves optionality. That is true. Non-existence eliminates it. We have all experienced multiple choice question exams. When there's no choice, when we know nothing, and there's no negative marking, we still mark something because we know that at least something will work here. There's nothing I can lose here. When you're being born, you have nothing to lose, and rational agents preserve optionality. And now let's address something even deeper. I have just a little of time, so I'll just say you cannot prefer safety if you eliminate the condition under which safety is experienced. That is like preferring silence by destroying all sound forever. It is a self-defeating preference. So the opposition's entire case collapses on this single argument. This opposition says non-existence harms no one, but it does harm the world because you're causing suffering to the people who made you. And now, if you respect your own agency enough to deliberate, you must respect not to preserve it. And that is why, not emotionally, not optimistically, not logically, this house chooses to be born. And that is why proud to be the government.
Thank you, member of Gov, for that very fine speech. Now inviting member of OP. Whenever you're ready. Here, here.
Please give me 20 seconds, please. Thank you.